This over. Hello, everyone. Please try to avoid arriving late, even if your things are here.
Sorry.
You're supposed to be here so we know nothing's wrong. Okay. So everybody, welcome. Good morning. Hope you had a terrific weekend. Hope you can catch up with your weekend perhaps later a little bit. By the way, last class we had here, I failed to recognize you, Sebastian, for your high participation there. So there was also this part of extra credit for you.
Thank
Okay?
you, teacher.
So I just wanted to acknowledge it publicly, and that's it.
Thank you.
No, you go ahead and participate like Sebastian did the other day, and of course you'll get it. Okay. So let me see, who do we have here? I have part B. Yes, part B. Thank you very much. Okay, so everyone on Zoom, please turn on your cameras so that I can see you. Good morning. So Andres. Andres? Oh, sorry, yeah. Yes, yeah. Just wondering. I began seeing other names and it was like, what? That's weird. Please do arrive on time. You have a full hour to get here. Okay. Luis Miguel? Okay. So next time it's going to be an absence, even if you are here. Okay. You should be on time. David?
Here.
Luna?
Here.
Deborah?
Here.
And Andrea?
Here.
Okay. Stephanie?
Here.
Sebastian?
Here.
Julia?
Here.
Okay. What did you say? Okay. Franco?
Here.
Okay.
Next week?
Yes. Just last time, this time I will take your attendance. Next time you're late, I will not take. Okay, even if you are here. Oscar Pablo. And then I have Emilio. Here. And Fer.
Here.
And Derek.
Here.
And Derbeli.
Here.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let us begin. So I think those that are with their cameras off are not here. So I'm going to proceed to take people out. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are here. So remember, if you have any questions, please remember to speak out. Yes, so that I can listen. If you cannot listen to me well, do tell it, do mention it. Okay. So we are ready to begin with our class today, and today I'm just going to make some precisions over Munatech. I'm about to tell you what that is. Then we're going to talk about absolute advantage, which we began discussing last week. Thanks to everybody that sent me your answers to these possible. How is it that different countries are going to compete then with China? Then we're going to go over some economic principles, and finally we're going to have some time to dedicate to some next assignments. So thanks also everybody that finished their Flipgrid discussions. Yes, and that in the end concluded. So it was good to see that the main post, they had a lot of views from different members of the other teams. Yes. But the last post, only some people got to listen what your classmates were saying. Yes, so I think it's also good. So it will still be open if you want to go in to listen to them. They are still there. Okay, so for you to listen, yes, the limit was it closed for participation, but the idea is that you can still do it. Hello, welcome.
Hello, how are you? Have I visited you last Friday or not?
No.
Yes. I know.
No, they didn't come on Friday. No, on Friday. No.
¿Cómo están?
Bien.
¿Ya les hablo en español? Porque ya tienen la clase de inglés. ¿Quieren que les hable en inglés? ¿Cómo les va? Ahí en casa, hola. Muy bien, me da mucho gusto que sí veo prácticamente todas las cámaras encendidas, ¿eh? ¿Es que qué?
No.
¿Les pone falta? Pues sí, muy bien, eso debe de ser. Yo saco de mi clase, yo no dejo que nadie se cámara encendida. ¿Saben quién soy o no?
Sí.
¿Que a ver quién son los que dijeron que sí?
Director de campo.
No, de campus,
prepa.
no, de prepa. Soy el director de prepa, soy Francisco Gutiérrez, soy su director de prepa. A lo mejor no me reconocen porque nunca ando vestido así, ¿verdad? Pero el día de hoy vengo a saludarles y preguntarles cómo les fue en este primer parcial.
Bien.
¿Bien? ¿Alguna materia que sea más complicada?
You can look at me.
¿Global issues? ¿Acaso?
Creo que sí.
¿Ya están listos para el MOOC?
No.
Ya saben que van a hacer MOOC, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Sí.
Ok, muy bien. Bueno, quiero aprovechar y recordarles algunos puntos esenciales. Uno, uso el cubrebocas, acuérdense, uso el cubrebocas en todo momento. Afortunadamente, hemos podido a través de seguir todas las reglas no tener ningún caso como ampliado. Es decir, si alguien se enferma de COVID, pues se detecta quién es y con los protocolos se manda a su casa y no produce contacto a nadie más. Entonces, creo que ha sido muy exitoso. Entonces, les pido que siempre cumplen con estas reglas porque es la única manera en cómo la vamos a poder seguir haciendo así. O sea, si realmente ven, conocen seguramente algún compañero o compañera de generación que se ha enfermado y saben que no ha habido nadie más dentro del campus que se haya contagiado a partir de ese caso. Entonces, eso solo sucede cuando cumplimos con nuestros protocolos. Siempre cubrebocas puesto, cuando se lo quiten que sea comiendo. Si van a estar comiendo con gente alrededor, pues den un pasito más para atrás para que no estén pues aventando la saliva a los demás. Uno, dos, traigan algún cubreboca extra. Ya se dieron cuenta ustedes que durante el día se va mojando o se puede romper o llega un momento en que ya ese cubrebocas ya me lastimó mucho, entonces busco otro. Tráiganse uno más y si se quedan hasta el horario de deportes o de cultural, tráiganse un tercero por si acaso. Y por último, el elevador. ¿Cuántas personas caben en el elevador que tenemos ahorita según cómo están? Dos, no tres, ni cuatro, ni cinco. Me ha tocado sacar 5 personas del elevador. Entonces, por favor, utilícenlo como marcan los protocolos. En el campus no se permiten ni besos de 2, ni de 3, ni de 4. Entonces, respetemos todas las normas y cualquier duda que tengan, cualquier comentario, búsquenme, estoy en el 4º piso del edificio de aula 6. Y pues, me da mucho gusto saludarles y ya no te quito más el tiempo, Rubén. Nos vemos, muchachos, gracias.
Nos vemos. Gracias, Pancho.
Okay, everybody. So let's get back to, what is it? Well, one goes with what one has witnessed, therefore, yeah. Okay, okay, the info session. So, next week, this week, you are going to see that in Canvas, a new section will appear, not within the class, but an additional course will appear on your Canvas, yes, at some point. Don't worry, nothing's wrong. You will receive an info session about that, but so just that you know what is it about. The idea of that, we created a platform that we actually are using in many different campuses, in which we prepared some materials for the global issues class. Yes. So the idea of that platform is that it prepares you about many different topics, and that it allows you to discover many different topics and the ones that we are going to be able to cover in only one semester. Yeah, so the idea there, what you will find there is that there will be a lot of different topics, and I will tell you how to work with the platform later. And there are also materials specially designed to help you out prepare for Model UN. So it's a platform that we're going to be using for the class, but one of the different options for preparation and materials that are available there are specialized for Model UN. Yes. So in your case, if you are working on the research action project, you are going to have the platform, and the only thing you can do them, you can do the activities that have to do with Model UN, but otherwise you simply will avoid them. Yeah, that's it. The rest of the platform is actually designed with the different topics we are mentioning about around. Okay, so that's what you're going to see appear at some point. And next week, once everybody has it activated, there will be an info session in case you have any questions. In there, there will be videos explaining how to do the platform, how to work, how to advance. The idea is that it is a flexible platform. You decide how you advance, yes, how you go. There's going to be a competition between the different groups, yes, going on. But that's basically the idea, okay? So you're going to find it, it's very self-explanatory there, and there's going to be more information, but so that you know that nothing is wrong with your canvas when you see it around. Okay. Let me now share, sorry, the question we were thinking about last class. Okay, here's for the one in the classroom and for the ones on Zoom. So we were comparing two different countries, yes? And we had Mexico and we had China, yeah? So we have their PPFs. This is how much they can produce regarding two different products and two different, and we said this was actually close to real, right? How Mexico could produce between 250 cars or 50 tons of clothing, which was something very much like this. This was MX PPF. And, sorry, careful. And there, so that. And on the other hand, we had China, which had these either 400 or 1600, right? So it was something like this. All right. Okay. So, sorry, this should be outward. Okay, so this is China's PPF. And our question was,
Why is it not straight?
why is it not straight? Just because in real life, it is not straight.
Or just
In order for us to understand the concept and to work some examples, we did it straight so that we would have a constant slope. But in reality, the slope is always changing. Why? Because the relation between cars and shirts, yes, depends on other variables. Therefore, it is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be changing every time. Remember that the slope in the end is a relation. So the relation between dedicating all of your resources, imagine all of the country dedicating to produce all these cars for all of these, of course, takes adaptation. And therefore, that is why we are going to have this a little bit outward. Okay. So you told me this is real, or this seems real. Yes, this seems accurate. So we were asking then, why should Mexico continue just to compete? And the truth is, this is actually two different things that both of these countries do. And you see Mexico still producing cars. Actually, Mexico is producing a lot of them, right? I mean, you see the Silao factory. If it were not for the chips problem, yes, with the problem we have with the global distribution of and preparation of these materials, otherwise it would be working, yes, like normal. So how is this possible? Why not just give up to a country that has absolute advantage? How can smaller countries still make a difference? So in order to understand why this can happen and why Mexico doesn't have to turn down its economy and can still continue to compete,
because it's working.
we have to compare. Well, it's working, but it's not something we just tried and let's see if it works. It's something that was actually designed. It's these kind of things you design them. So we have to look at the difference between these and these. Absolute advantage means producing more than any other. So China clearly produces more clothes or more cars than any other country in the world, right? Why? Because they have the capacity to do so. So in brute numbers, they actually can produce more than any other country. However, the key is here. What did we say was a comparative advantage? When do you have a comparative advantage? Why does Ivan have a comparative advantage in math?
You have a comparative advantage when you can perform an activity at a lower opportunity cost than others.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the reason. So if you have a comparative advantage, you are still going to be able to compete. Yes. And that's what Mexico has right here. What does Mexico have? A lower opportunity cost. So let's look at if we were to take the opportunity cost of these. So I'm going to do the opportunity cost for China, yes, in order to produce a car. And somebody tell me what's the opportunity cost for China to produce a car? So I can take the full numbers there. I can take the full relation here. So for China to produce a car, it costs them, they would have to give up. If they produce 100 cars, they would have to stop producing 1,600 tons of clothing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This translates to, if I simplify this, minus 4. Thank you very much. Minus 4 tons of clothing. So every car China produces costs them 4 tons of clothing. Yeah. Let's look at the opportunity cost that Mexico pays. The opportunity cost that Mexico pays for a car, what is it? So we have, again, 150 here. And,
50 clothes. Minus.
thank you very much, minus 50 tons of clothing. Yeah, that is what Mexico would be giving up. This equals minus what?
1/5.
Thank you very much. Minus 1/5 of a ton of clothing. That is minus 200 kilos of clothing. Yes. So who can produce this? Who can produce car the cheapest? And I'm speaking about the same kind of car. Mexico. And that is actually true. To produce a car of the same quality between Mexico and China, Mexico is going to be cheaper to produce. Why? Can somebody venture some reasons? There are actually many reasons why.
Because of the resources.
Resources, they are available. There's a network of available things and available materials and things. So that's about land. Yes, there's natural resources available, or there is a logistics chains that allow you to have these things available in a quick manner. What else? What else could it be?
The costs.
The costs, overall cost. So for capital, so what kind of cost could be involved in producing a car?
Financial.
There is a financial cost, yes. In certain areas in Mexico, they are so much specialized in making, yes, these cars that they have incentives, yes. So it is sometimes cheaper to actually establish a factory here than it is in some parts in China. Another part is there are already many other car factories, and with car factories, there are other factories that come along. For example, one factory that makes seat warmers, one company that makes rear view mirrors, one company that makes electronics, one company that makes tires, exactly. So you have many different companies that altogether make it cheaper to establish yourself here than to establish yourself in any other part of the world and then get the things you need shipped all the way over there. Yes. So it is more convenient. That is why the opportunity cost is going to be lower. Final idea, intellectual capital. Mexico has been producing cars and centering on the automotive industry cluster for the last 30 years. So it has been preparing. Therefore, it has trained its engineers. It is going to be easier to find qualified labor here in Mexico for making cars than it is going to be in China. Yes, in China, you're going to find a lot of people. However, specifically trained in automotive engineering, you're going to find them here.
Intellectual capital is higher here.
Intellectual is?
It's higher here in Mexico.
For this section, yes. For this sector, yes. Yeah. So as a result of this, Mexico can still, what shouldn't Mexico do? Mexico shouldn't try to compete with China producing shirts. Because in here, it loses by the absolute advantage of China, but also by the comparative advantage. Mexico is not as good as China in producing clothing. Yes? And even then, there are some pieces that it can still do, but it is not going to outright compete like that because China has specialized in that. Yes? It has reduced its opportunity cost there. Yes, it has a lot of people trained for that for very little, very small amount of money that can do that. So Mexico should center in what?
Cars.
Producing cars. And even if it produces less cars than China could, China is not producing here. Where is China producing? China is producing here. Where is Mexico producing? Around here. And that way, they actually both get benefit. Remember when we said the PPF doesn't tell us which point to do? How do we get that? Well, when we already understand the concept of comparative advantage, where is the best point to sit? Where is the best point to produce? Where is your comparative advantage? Yes, that's the idea. What shouldn't Mexico do? Stop learning. Mexico should never stop learning. What happens if Mexico stops learning and modernizing or preparing its engineers or preparing its industry? What's going to happen? China is going to lower its opportunity cost and therefore take that market. Yeah. So when you have a comparative advantage, remember, you can't develop a comparative advantage. You can develop a lower opportunity cost. But the idea is that others can also do that. So if you want to keep it, you have to continuously improve it. Yes, continuously improve that idea. Okay, is that clear? Okay. Final idea about a lower opportunity cost, having a lower opportunity cost. For example, let's say somebody is not very good at math. Can they study a major in university? Can they study a major in math? Yes. Of course they can. It's going to be harder. Certainly, that's the point. It's going to be harder. It's going to have a higher opportunity cost for them. But eventually, the idea is that they will gain enough intellectual capital so that it is easier for them when they go out. That's what you are doing when you are studying a major. Lowering your opportunity cost on doing certain things in order to specialize in that, in order to exchange it for the things you are not good at. That's how a lawyer exchanges his knowledge or her knowledge in contracts for food. That's how a food engineer exchanges his knowledge of biology and chemistry for contracts to get his house. Yes? That's how a doctor exchanges her good knowledge of the human body for any other thing she needs. Okay? Is that clear? That idea? Makes sense?
Can you repeat the last part of the idea, please?
Yes. When you are, as you are deciding what to study, you are deciding something you are going to specialize on, right? So you are studying university because you are specializing in something. In doing so, what you're going to be doing is lowering your opportunity cost. Every semester you advance, it's going to be easier to do certain things. You are going to acquire intellectual knowledge to lower your opportunity cost regarding whatever it is that you are studying. In the end, you are going to exchange that for anything else you need that the economy can provide. Okay? And that way, everybody wins. What is the problem? When somebody in the economy has nothing to exchange against, when somebody in the economy doesn't have a lower opportunity cost than others. How can that happen? When a country doesn't educate its people, for example. Yes? What happens when a country doesn't educate its people? It maintains very high opportunity costs in everything, and it maintains a very small PPM. Okay? Any other question? Yes.
Why is the dot there and in
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, this is just to go closer to the way it is they are producing today. So today, China is producing some cars, yes, but a lot of tons of clothing.
Oh.
Yes.
okay.
It just actually reflects, eventually, they could do any of these. What are they going to choose? They are going to choose the one in which they have a lower opportunity cost. Yes,
So that would center into a specific thing.
that's the idea. Remember our jewelry? Last week I told you you had a jewelry, right? So you know what you could do with that kilogram of gold. But you told me, but some combinations wouldn't be good to do. So that's the first idea. You know, some combinations wouldn't be good. For example, producing half a necklace. Yes. But then you also get your knowledge of the market. You get to know if you are better in doing bracelets or necklaces. What happens if the jewelry next door produces necklaces at half the opportunity cost than you produce them?
They're gonna,
They're going to
So-
specialize in that, or they're going to do well if they specialize in that. So what should you do? You can either try to outrun them in lowering your opportunity cost for necklaces, or getting better, lowering your opportunity cost, getting a comparative advantage in what they are not good at. Yes? And that's how you choose what to produce. What is going to be the point? What is going to be the combination? Yes? Okay. Is that clear? Very good. Did you already explain this to the people you're chatting with or not? No, not yet? Make sure they know it so that they can help you out in the exam. Okay? So otherwise, we're going to be a little bit lost. Okay. Final thing for today. Final thing. Just like these, there are many different points that explain to us some economic decisions. For example, you know that in physics or in natural sciences in general, you have certain laws, right? For example, the law of gravity, which explains and that allows us to try to predict certain things. In international relations, we have a number of theories, right? That try to help us to kind of know what could happen, yes? In economics, you have a number of principles, which are not exactly like laws, but are going to be things that economists have analyzed throughout different societies that have turned out to be very useful in understanding economic choices, yes? In understanding these choices. So let me just lower this so that, well, everybody can see without the low of the screen. So these principles are, oh, by the way, this image. So in here, who has an absolute advantage? This image, Superman, clearly, he can do a lot of these. However, Batman is clever, right? So it is also possible that Batman has some kind of comparative advantage in one of them, perhaps. So he can still compete somehow, yeah, altogether. Okay. First principle of how our choices interact with everybody else's choices. There are gains from trade. Trade is not a sub-zero game. It's not like I give you the marker, you give me your cell phone, and nobody won. Well, I won, you lost, right? No, it is not like that. If you do it well, that is, if you are not losing in your design of your production, right? That is the idea. So there can be gains from trade. That's the first principle, okay? Second principle. Markets, and by markets we mean, how would you define a market? The public that wants a certain good, okay, but that only mentions the public. In a market, like right now, in a market here in the center, in the downtown, you have a market, right?
A center where you can exchange products
Exactly.
or services.
Thank you very much, Evo. So it is the point or the place, which can be physical or virtual, where people exchange, people that need it or want it, and people that provide it, people that provide it, yes? So that is a market. Anywhere where that happens, where people exchange goods, our island, for example, would be a market. People are exchanging things, yes? And markets are going to tend to an equilibrium. Yes? They tend to an equilibrium. What does that mean? That means that things that are needed, needs that exist, are going to be, or there is going to be somebody that satisfies them. Yes? For example, when people began getting tired of their masks, somebody else came and say, well, I have this other kind of mask. Or I have this kind of device that pulls it back here so that you don't have to pull your ears and have them red the rest of the day, right? So that is creating this kind of equilibrium. Yes, that is the idea of satisfying these different needs. Yeah. In the same way, if things are not demanded, if there is no public, what happens? There is no production for that. It will slow, it will stop. What it says is that nobody else needs to intervene. That will happen on its own. It's not like somebody has to come, either government or God or some other entity to tell, oh, you have to produce this. No, people will notice, yes, and they will begin producing it if it is needed. And people will stop producing it if it is no longer needed. Do you think that, for example, when the pandemic is over, when they finally tell us, no, you don't have to bring a mask anymore to school, do you think the government will have to tell factories, hey, stop producing masks? No, they will take that decision on their own. Why? Again, this is how our choices interact with the others. Naturally, they tend to equilibrium. This does not mean markets are perfect, but they will eventually settle. Yes, they will eventually settle. Third principle, resources should be used as efficiently as possible to satisfy the needs of society. This is a controversial principle because we saw what does efficiency mean in economics? Using all available resources. So this puts an ethical problem. So people are going to decide according to this. If I am an individual producer, I'm going to keep producing cars that use, for example, polluting gasoline. Yes, like back in the 1990s, we used cars that had a lot of lead in them, that had a lot of, gasoline had a lot of lead in it. And lead could be cancerogenic. What had to happen? So if this principle was just used, then you know what? It's easier to make gasoline with the lead, so that's going to continue happening. But it's not ethical because people are getting sick. So to counter this principle when it is hurting society, you need government. Yes? If you just let factories and people decide how to satisfy whatever they want, for example, this means that any kind of market is legal. Yeah? So you have somebody that comes in and tries to regulate what are the conditions. Yeah? So for example, you have to produce gasolines that have less contaminants in them. Yeah? So we are going to have government again intervene, yes, in case when these decisions are not very much ethical. Fourth idea, markets close up to efficiency naturally. They close up to efficiency. Remember we said, what are we? Human beings. We are, what are we? Happiness.
Humans.
We are humans, we human beings are humans, but we are
Happiness seekers.
happiness seekers or happiness maximizers. Yes, we want to have the most profit or the most benefit or the most happiness. Yes, we mentioned that at the beginning of economics, and therefore we orient our choices that way. This will establish how markets tend to efficiency. For example, okay, you haven't turned your camera, so I'm not going to call you Franco anymore. Oscar.
Yeah.
Yes? When you go to OXXO, let's say you go in your car, yes? where do you park?
Outside the airport.
Certainly, you're not going to park inside, right?
In the parking lot.
How are you going to, so there are 6 places available where to park. Where are you going to park?
The one nearest.
In the one nearest to
The door.
the door. Everybody's doing that, right? Nobody's parking in the place that is the farthest away. If they are all available, nobody's parking in the one that is farthest away from the door. Are they?
No.
No, why? Because we are happiness maximizers. What do we want to do? We want to minimize the effort in order to get the most result for our energy and for our walking. Yes? Even in that small case. So you're going to park in the closest spot to the door.
Yeah.
This is it. We are getting to this kind of efficiency. Did somebody have to tell you to do that?
No.
Somebody that goes with you has to tell you, park somewhere close to the door. No, it's a decision we take. And that in general organizes things. Yes. So the idea is regarding this, we try to do it. Yes. Let's imagine the following idea. Pre-pandemic time, pre-pandemic. Sam's Club. Sunday afternoon. Who? Exactly. That's the expression. Why who?
There's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people. Lots of people. There are also free samples. Perhaps that's why there's a lot of people. So how are the lines to pay?
Very big. Longer.
They don't fit. They are long. They are long. They don't fit. What happens? So they have 6 of them open. What happens when they open the 7th?
Everyone goes.
At first, everybody goes there. But what happens late? Next?
It's going to be long.
Huh? It begins being very long, but then it stops, right? People stop going there. Why?
Because it's the same.
Because it's just along with the others. Did somebody have to go and actually tell people when to go and when to stop going? No, people, they took individual decisions. Are the lines more or less the equal length?
Yes.
137 is open, yeah.
Yes. Once the 7 is open and people have, it's going, and nobody had to arrange that. So in here we have a combination of these kind of principles. People taking decisions and finding that equilibrium in some kind of way. At first, everybody wants to go there. But once they notice they've taken the decision to stay on their line, perhaps. So this is the kind of decision taking that makes this equilibrium. It's not going to be perfect, but it tends to that. Why? Because everybody's choices is being altered by everybody else's choices. Now, this is also problematic. We said efficiency is a problem because yes, we try to do it. We use up resources, yes. But the problem is that this also creates some ethical problems. Oscar, would you park in the place designed for people with disabilities?
No.
I expected a quicker answer, but no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. I expected you not to think about it. No, you wouldn't park in the place for people with disabilities. Why?
I mean, because it's not ethical.
It's not ethical. You know, you are interfering with somebody else's perhaps right or possibility to get even into the store, right? So if we were just taking and maximizing our happiness, we would park anywhere. But what has happened, since that is problematic, states, which is going to be our last unit for the semester, create rules in order to make everyone's choices fair to everyone else. Yes, that is the idea. Yeah. So this is going to actually be also regulated. You're going to have an ethical component, something else. But naturally speaking, or if you just let it happen, this is what would happen. Okay, that is the idea. So you have to confront sometimes when that creates a problem with something else. And this is the final point. When markets are not efficient on themselves, governments can intervene to assure social well-being. That's why states have a responsibility regarding economics. How much that interference happens depends on the economic system we're speaking of. For example, in socialist societies that try to get to communism, the creation of the state is because society is not going to do this on its own. So the state intervenes in every single decision, right? In liberal economics, the idea is, in liberal systems, the idea is the government will go in when there's a problem, yeah? When something needs fixing. Otherwise, it's not going to enter into economics. It's not going to have business. It's not going to make production. It's not going to intervene in this kind of decision unless there are problems. Okay, that's the idea. You have a question?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it will have an equilibrium on its own.
So, well, the idea is if naturally, because of the way things are distributed, or because in some cases choices can be selfish,
Yeah.
then the government could intervene. For example, let's think of this. Think of this. Let's imagine that there is no public light in our street. So the neighbors get together and they decide. So everybody put a lamp outside of their house so that we can all have light. What do you imagine is going to happen? Some are going to do it. Some are not going to want to do it. They're going to say, no way, I'm not doing that. And some are going to forget. So we have a problem. We cannot get there naturally. So noticing that, what has to happen?
The government needs to intervene.
Government or some other kind of entity, government we speak in general because they solve the larger problem, right? They're going to have to come in to fix that individual problem of choices. Yes? So if it is the other solution, yes, it would be my choice, but I could be also affecting other things. So in that case, it is urgent to come in. Since because of the conditions of that, so for example, if somebody does not even feel affected by not turning on their light outside their house, then they are not even going to care, right? That's the idea. Okay. Questions about this? No? About this idea, principles, things? No? Okay. So, I am going to be uploading a small video with summary of some things we have seen. Yes. It's going to be open all of the week. Yes. It doesn't ask you to produce anything. It just asks you to answer some questions as you watch a small video. I will be uploading together with some of the concepts we are seeing. Yeah. Because I have noticed with some people that have approached me that some things are being understood, but there are others. And I'm afraid if somebody's not asking, you're going to have trouble in the exam. Yes, understanding that. So I'm just going to put these materials on. They're going to be available for the rest of the week. And you will have the rest of the week to complete them on your own, at your own speed. Okay? But the idea is that you are able to complete them. Yeah, they are individual. They are a simple assignment that goes like that, putting you questions. Okay? And normally it's not going to take you more than 10 minutes. Okay? That's the idea. And tomorrow we are going to be making a, we're going to get prepared for putting some more concepts that we have as we go into supply and demand. Okay? So tomorrow we are going to consume, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So tomorrow we will be working on that. Yes. And again, it is an activity that is going to be open. That one is going to be in Teams. Yes. And the idea is as we advance in class and we have some time at the end, the idea is that you get to advance on it and complete it so that we can have our glossary all together. What we are doing is we are building a glossary of all of these so that everybody can study in the end for the partial, right? So that we can have all different concepts, all different things, and then make other combinations of concepts, okay? But I will give you instructions of that tomorrow. No more questions about this? So on Wednesday, can we jump to supply and demand?
Yes.
Have you heard of the law of supply and the law of demand?
Yes.
I'm sure you have, but we will learn how to actually determine them and how to graph them and how to see how actually to establish a price or how do we reach equilibrium prices and decisions are taken regarding that economic mode, okay? Thank you very much. Have a very nice day, and I will see you tomorrow, okay?
Thank you, teacher.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye.
Teacher, I only have one question.
Yes, give me 1 second, Diego. Let me see if my audio is here. For those that are going out of the classroom, remember to keep your distance. 1 second. Okay, I can listen to you now.
So if a country or a nation has a lower economic opportunity cost, it will become more attractive to industries and corporations.
Yes, but also it can develop. For example, yes. That could also happen. Do you listen to me,
Okay.
Diego?
Yes, teacher.
Okay.
Okay.
Both things could happen. Both things could happen. But yes, the point is that what countries try to create, if they are intelligent, they are trying to create lower opportunity costs for doing certain things. Yes.
Okay, and I didn't understand why, for example, it was an absolute advantage for China in the clothes creation.
So, because absolute advantage means being able to produce more than any other.
Oh, okay.
More does not mean cheaper. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's just being able, I am able to produce more. Yes. For example, if you put me in a competition with my daughters, yes, me, the teacher, in a competition with my daughters to see who can write the most pages, I can win. I can make a lot of different pages. I can write and write and write and write. Yes. However, my lettering is very bad. So if you put me into writing, I have an ugly writing, which gladly you have, well, actually, I think you have noticed in the board. But that for me has a very high opportunity cost. Yeah. So for one of my daughters, it doesn't. She produces beautiful writing very easily. Yes. I could take double the time to actually try to do something like that. Therefore, even if I could make, or I could take and produce many more, the point is it would be very, very expensive for me to do so. Yes.
Okay.
Expensive in the time, in the opportunity cost. My opportunity cost for producing one beautiful page would be higher than them, even if I can produce more altogether. Yes.
Okay.
So I have an absolute advantage, but my daughter has a comparative advantage. She has a lower opportunity cost. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, teacher.
Yeah. See you.
Bye. See you. Bye.
Bye. So you got a hard time being in Morocco, right?